Cool. Okay, so the first thing that I'll say about Command is it works best in Google Chrome. If you're a Mac user, you're probably used to using Safari to some degree as your internet browser. It'll work in Safari, but it is a Google-based product, so it's always going to be most compatible with other Google-based products. So I would always recommend to use Google Chrome, and I'm going to share my screen now so that you guys can see. Okay, so all I've done here is kind of just pulled up Google, just a generic Google Chrome internet browser. The other tip, it's called moving to incognito mode, which is basically blocking exterior sites from cookies and caches that can allow it to run optimal. So if you're on a Mac, if you hit Command Shift N, you'll notice that black screen pops up like that. If you're on a desktop, it should be Control Shift N. Which all this is doing is kind of like hiding what you're doing from other websites so that your computer and the website can run faster. Everybody with me so far there? Okay, so the website for Command is agent.kw.com. And so it's going to bring you to this login screen here. Your login, for those of you who have been with KW for a little bit, is just your My KW login. So whatever you would use to log into the intranet or anything like that. Dallas, I'm not sure if you got yours set up yet or not, but ultimately it's just going to be your mykw.kw login, which is going to get you into there. And once my internet goes a little bit and we refresh. Perfect. So this is your main dashboard. A couple things I will point out about your dashboard here. You can create tasks just like you can in any other CRM you've ever used. Just like you can in Dotloop. You can create a task to remind yourself to do certain things, whether it's call this client, email this client, do this paperwork, so on and so forth. This is a great way just so that you can see when you come in each day where it pops up and what to do. On the right-hand side, it kind of features a design update. So every day they're uploading different kind of templates for you to use to market your listings to your buyers, to all that kind of stuff. Just like your iPhone, when it goes through a software update, it's got new features, new toys you can use. This is kind of giving you a little bit of what that looks like. Same thing down here, product updates. They're literally telling you, here's what we've done this week. Here's what we fixed. You know, here's what we fixed in the week past. So you can kind of in real time see what's new as you get into a day-by-day basis. This talks about the health of your database, you know, how many people have phone number, email, address, neighborhoods, all that good stuff. You can really get into customizing this. I'm not going to jump into that right now because we're just going to talk about the basics. Any questions so far?
No, but are you going to show us, and I know there have been trainings on this already, but creating your opportunity to get your documents from Dotloop to be able to submit compliance?
Yep, absolutely. I'm going to show you. So we're going to create a contact and we're going to take that to an opportunity. And then I'm going to show you where you can get your Dotloop stuff.
Okay.
Depending, I've been having a little bit of issues with mine. So we may or may not actually be able to bring a document over, but I can show you exactly where to go to do it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to create a contact because that's the number one rule for any opportunity is you need to have a contact. So up here on the left-hand side, the little people there icon is your contacts. This will bring you to all your contacts. And you can see that I've got some that are, you know, labeled in different categories. You can customize that. And we're going to show you how to do that right now. But over here, you can import contacts. So if you've got your contacts stored somewhere else, maybe in an Excel file or from a different CRM, and you don't want to input each person one by one because you've got a couple hundred, you can save them in a format and upload them into Command this way. So that's one way to do it. I'm going to show you how to just make a basic one right now. You're just going to hit add a contact. And so then we're just going to, all we're going to do is start populating these fields. So we'll create myself. You'll notice you can have as many emails as you want. Keep in mind, you can only communicate, meaning like mass email, to one email. So whichever email is their primary needs to be the one that goes here. And that's the one that they'll receive any communication from you. Now you can put other emails, if somebody has a work and a personal and all that good stuff, but just know that whatever one is your primary is going to be which one the system communicates to when you instruct it to send out emails and things like that. So I'll put mine in. Same thing with the primary phone. Now, you can set up apps to text out of command. I have not done that, but just the way I think of this is which phone number will you call them, and will they most likely answer? Are they a home phone person, a work phone person, a mobile phone? And you can add multiple as well. And so you just enter your phone number. So I'm on a team, so I can assign this contact to different people, which is why you see this select owner option here. If you're an individual agent, you probably don't even see this, or it only gives you the default to select you. That's all that is. I'm not going to worry too much about that right now. The tags, you can see I've kind of tagged them out as 2018 buyer, 2019 buyer, seller, so on and so forth, so that I can go back and communicate in groups to people, whether it's this past year's clients, all that kind of stuff. Just a way to organize for me, and you can ultimately filter like that. These are 100% customizable. I'll show you in a second where you can go to create your own.
You can go in and change those later.
Yep, absolutely. You can change them. You can redo them. You can erase them all. You can make whatever you want. And you can put as many tags as you want on a contact. You could have 50, you could have 1. It just is however you want to communicate with yourself there. And so then additional contact information, this is where you can start to add some of that additional, if they have a secondary phone. I always recommend creating, if you're dealing with a spouse or a couple, to create one for each spouse. So create one for the husband and one for the wife as well. A couple reasons with that. One, again, you can only email one email per contact. So unless they still share an email address, it's only going to one of 2 of them. And depending on whatever communication you're sending out, it may not be pertinent to that specific person. And so again, you always want to make sure you're reaching as many people as possible. Also, the truth of the matter is people get divorced at times. And rather than having to have those awkward conversations of, hey, can I get your ex-wife's contact information or ex-husband's contact information? You already have it, right? And you can better serve them that way as, life happens. So the next thing you want to do is you want to put in their home address. So key pieces of information: phone, email, name, obviously, and then address. Those are going to be the big pieces that we want to accurately and consistently talk to somebody. So if I put mine in, you'll see again, it's going to start to populate with potential answers. Put mine in here. You can add multiple. So if someone has investment properties or vacation homes or things like that, you can add all of that in there so that you could know exactly where they are. From Majid, if you have someone who owns multiple commercial properties, you could add, multiple addresses here. The primary address is what you would use to mail things to them. So if you were going to send out a mailer or you wanted to write them a thank you note or something, put wherever they're going to physically be at as their primary address. You can also link social media profiles, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, things like that. We're not going to go into a deep dive into that, but it's kind of cool because when you pull up their contact, you'll be able to kind of see what they've been, if they're active on social media and things like that. Birthday, all that good stuff here is where you can add as much as you want. I tend to not personally add a bunch of birthdays and things just because that's not who I am and how I run mine. But I know people that, mail out cards on their clients' birthdays. Great opportunity to do so here. I do utilize the home anniversary when they buy it. It's just a simple one that you can set to pop up like, hey, a year ago you sold Bill and Jane their house, give them a call, things like that. Spouse, this is where you'll see where you can connect contacts. And so I'm actually going to hop out of here in a second and show you what that looks like. So because you have to have both contacts created, but then it'll link them together so that anytime you open with this contact, you have a direct link to your spouse. All this stuff is kind of more opportunity, which we're going to get into. So then you would just hit create. And it's already been used because I've used my name to create example contacts 1,000 times, but let's see here. So if we go to, for example, Adam England here. So I sold Adam and his wife a house last year. You'll notice we're down here where it says relationships, Rachel England. Rachel is Adam's wife. So if I click on her name, it's going to take me to her contact. And so they are linked together, just like that. But they each technically have their own individual contact info or contact page so that you can reach them however you need. You'll also notice by putting in the email, I kind of have this thread of emails that I had corresponded with them, right? So it's kind of a working timeline that I've had without having to go search my email for my communication between these two people. So as long as the email that you've got set as your primary for them is being communicated with your primary email, it'll create an opportunity right here that you can filter through and have kind of a record of no matter what. Make sense so far?
Automatically go through if we use our KW email?
Yep, so you just have to have it set up to sync your email, and I can go ahead and show you that right now, where that is. So up under here, under your name, there's a drop-down menu. You're gonna go to settings. And the first thing it's gonna ask you is connected apps. And so you'll see I've got my Gmail, my KW one, the one I use for work, synced up here. And so this is where you'll want to sync whichever account you want that information to pull from. Do you see, everybody see that right here? Drop down menu under your name. If you hit settings, it should bring you to this page right here.
Okay.
And so then again, you can see I've synced my calendar. Obviously, at some point we will sync DocuSign. You can sync social media, stuff like that, all that good stuff. And there's hundreds and hundreds of them that you can sync with. But in order to have that thread of emails between people, you've got to have your email synced up here. And you've just got to make sure that you're communicating with the client's right email. Like Adam has a couple different emails because he's got, personal and a work. So if I were to email his work, I wouldn't see the thread here because it's not his primary. Does that make sense? Let's see here.
That makes sense.
David, you can use any email you want. So when you go to hit connect email, it's going to ask you what your server is, whether it's Outlook, Gmail, Ymail, Hotmail, whatever it may be. You just log in appropriately. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to be on the move just a sec here, but we're still working. So back in the contact here, then up above that, you'll also see there's opportunities and smart plans and tasks. And this is exactly where you can make specific notes to your contact if you need to. If you need to add a task, reminder to call Adam, email in the contract, whatever it may be. You'll notice opportunities. That's what we're going to hop in and talk to you about real quick. This is what Amanda and I were talking about earlier, where you've got to create this as almost like just like a loop and dot loop to get paid and upload files to, so that you can submit to the market center. So there's two different ways to do it. You can, as you can see inside of this contact here, you can, under the opportunities tab, you can hit create opportunity. If you do that, it'll take you to this page. It's going to ask you to fill out this information and it's going to create it. The other way to do it is by going back over here on the left. And if you click that little red KW up at the top, you'll see the names of the icons pop up. So all I did was just click that. Like, I know what they are because I've been in it enough, but if you're new to it, you just click that red KW and then different sections of command will pop up. The opportunities are the two shaking hands icon right here. So we're gonna hop over there. And again, you'll see a couple different things on mine because I'm on a team. And so I have a couple different options. Like I can see team pipelines, my pipelines, etc. If you're an individual agent, you likely don't see anything other than, your name and your pipelines. You have both listings, buyers, and rentals. So however you do whichever focus for your business, it allows you to separate them out so that at any time you can come in and look and say, okay, hey, I've got X number of listings in their contract, X number of buyers, and it'll actually graph it for you and chart it. I have not been very good about updating mine, but the idea and the process will be the more you update it, you know, it'll be able to tell you, okay, are you more of a listing bot or agent? Are you more of a buyer's agent? Are you balanced? Where are your strengths? Where do you make the most money? You know, you'll be able to kind of look back on that as you do year-end review things and say, okay, I had, you know, X number of buyer appointments and it only translated to X number of contracts, but my conversion rate's way higher on listings and listing contracts. So then you just know to focus on what you're really good at, right? So why would we spin our wheels on things that don't make us as much money? If you're really, really good at listing properties and getting property sold, well, I would put, you know, 90% of your effort into getting listing appointments and getting new listings, because that's what's going to make you the most money, right? So it'll allow us to really understand your business better than just saying, okay, you willy-nilly kind of looking for people who want to buy and sell houses. It'll just keep it more streamlined. So let's do, let's see if I have I actually might have an example I could do live. Let me check real quick to see if he's even a contact yet. If not, we're going to create him real quick.
I might be getting ahead of you, but do you have to create the opportunity in Command first or create the paperwork in .loop first?
Doesn't matter. So you'll have to have it created in .loop in order to bring it over. So the de facto answer to that is you've got to create .loop before you can even bring anything over. So right now for me, like I'm going to walk you through exactly a live one for a buyer that's under contract for me, which I created the .loop months ago when we started working, and I just created this 17 days ago for this contact. Okay. So for me, I always still operate out of .loop for all paperwork up until the point where we're basically under contracted through inspections, and then I bring it over, or I just have my team over to Command, because it's just the habit I built of working out of .loop, and you're still going to need to use .loop to get things signed, or DocuSign. Command is never going to be or I shouldn't say never, currently is no plans to be a electronic signature platform. So even though you create everything in Command, you're still going to have to use one or the other to get your paperwork signed. So we're going to go back to opportunities, and this is a buyer. And so I'm going to scroll down to here, and I'm going to hit create opportunity. You'll notice this is the same screen that popped up when I was inside of a contact. I hit create opportunity. So those are the two ways you can get there, whichever is your preference. It truly doesn't make a difference. Your market center, again, I'm only part of one market center. As you expand to teams and things, you could potentially be part of multiple. So this is just telling it for KW's record, it'll default to that. If you're on a team, you can select your team. If not, you won't even have this option. This is where you just select what pipeline you want it to go. So whether listings or buyers. This is a buyer. The owner of this contact, again, is going to be you. And then the client. So this is where the contact does need to be created at this point. So if you're new and you've got it under contract and you're trying to practice on this, you've got to create that contact before you come create the opportunity, because you can't have an opportunity without a contact to tie it to, if that makes sense. So my process is always contact, then opportunity. If you get to this point and you type in the name and you haven't created it, it will not let you go forward. You'll just have to cancel, go create the contact real quick and get it in there. For the sake of compliance and .loop, you don't need to have all the information for the contact. You really just need the name is all that they want to see, is who's going to basically be on the contract. So if you're not going to use Command as a full-fledged CRM and you, for whatever reason, want to use something else, you'll just need to put in the name. But again, I would, at very minimum, advise name, phone number, email, and address, as those are the ways that you would potentially contact a new client. Again, another opportunity for you to put in custom tags. The thought behind this is that you're creating this the second that you have signed the exclusive buyer agency with this person. So they're saying, okay, when do you expect them to close? I know when they're closing because they're under contract, and I'm doing this on the back end. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the closing date. It talks a little bit about their budget. You don't have to put this in. The more info you put in, the more it's going to be able to tell you your conversion rates and stuff like that, commission rate and stuff like that. So once you've got all that populated, you hit create. And this is what an opportunity looks like. Just basic information. And so I'm going to go back to this pipeline real quick here. And you're going to see how this changed to a 1 right here under cultivate, under my buyer pipeline. That's because I just created this person. If I click on it, you'll see the Jack Ruskus buyer that I just created right there under that pipeline. Is everybody with me there? You want me to walk through that again, anybody? Okay.
I'm good.
So all I did, you've created your contact, listing or buyer. You're just going to hit create opportunity and then populate this information. This one right here where it says opportunity type is going to tell it which pipeline it's going in. So if you're a buyer, you're a buyer. If you're a listing, if I would have selected listing, it would have popped up under the listing pipeline. And then you just select the client's name, fill in the information, and then hit create, and it will automatically take it to the appropriate pipeline.
If you have a buy and a sell, do you create two different?
Like, you mean a client is buying and selling a house?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. You would create 2 opportunities because technically you would have 2 different loops in dot loop as well.
Okay.
But if you were doing, like, let's say you had a listing for sale and an unrepresented buyer is buying it and you're just doing the paperwork, then you could do it all under 1. But if your client is, it's per transaction. So think of it as just like a loop. If you were going to go in and have a client say, okay, sell my house, then buy me this house, you would technically create a listing loop and a buyer loop for appropriate paper. Same idea. Yep. All you're doing is just creating a command loop, if you want to call it.
Okay.
So then again, I'm just going too fast. So I created it. I was a buyer, so it popped up under this cultivate phase here. All of these here can be 100% customizable. They can be editable on how you work through a transaction. I will show you a couple that I've edited a little bit, but you'll notice they're up here. So cultivate, to me, it means you're just working on getting an appointment, because if you go down the line here, it should be the life of a transaction. You cultivate them, you lead generate, you set an appointment, consultation or a listing appointment. They're active, you put their home on the market, or you're looking with them as a buyer, under contract, close, right? That's the thought process behind those things. And you will slide your opportunity through these different phases as you progress in real life, so that you can help keep track. And as you get multiple, you'll be able to look at this pipeline and say, okay, I've got 3 listings active on the market and I've got 2 under contract, or whatever it is, instead of having to have just a spreadsheet of all your clients, you know, and having to think through each one. I can look right now and say, okay, I've got this many active listings, this many buyers, X and X appointments, so on, closed and under contract. Does that all make sense? So, and I'll show you, all you have to do to drag them through. So for this one, I'm going to jump him straight to under contract, because that's what he actually is. And all you do is you just click and hold these little 6 dots over here and drop it over the one that you need. And then by going to click under contract, there he is. And this is actually ironic. You can see this right here. It's the same person. This is my TC has created the opportunity already. Because for me, when I get a contract, I just hire the TC to do the work for the paperwork. So she's actually the person that comes in and creates my opportunities. But you can see exactly, this is the same person. She just went ahead and did it already and named it that. And you can actually move them through different portions of that phase. So, you know, during our contract, inspections are typically the first thing you do, or Majid, commercial, probably due diligence period and things like that. Once you're through that, you know, if you're not a cash, financing, appraisal, all that stuff. Again, just as you get busier, the more success you have in lead generating, the more people you're going to have. The challenge then becomes keeping everything straight and organized so that you can handle that kind of volume. Right.
When you have the contact open, is there a field that you can click that automatically would move them to the next phase, to a different phase?
No, not when you're in the contact. You've just got to do it kind of manually.
Oh, okay.
So like, you've just got to be within that. Where are you here? You click into the phase and then you just drag them and move them to wherever they need to be. And sometimes what typically happens to me is I get them to under contract And then like a month or two goes by and I forget to go move them and I get them all stacked up. And then one day I, kind of have some time in cleaning up and I just go and move them all to close to get them kind of out of the way. Similar to how I'm sure most people are with loops in terms of archiving loops and things like that.
Is this exclusive to us, or does Office X, does the team leader, does anyone else look at view our pipeline within Command?
Great question. So your pipeline is going to be exclusive to you. Now, the Market Center MCA and the team leader are going to have the ability to look at like commission stuff on an opportunity, which we're going to go in and look at. But unless you're on a team, you are the only person that has access to look at this stuff. It's your stuff. Now, I'm sure somewhere along the line, Keller Williams International, like any company, could, I'm sure, get in the back of everybody's. But rest assured, no one, Elizabeth and Nick, do not have the time to do that, nor do they care. The only time they're ever going to look at this is when you've told them to by the opportunity, saying, hey, I'm submitting this, look at my files, or here's my green sheet, Nick, approve this so you can pay me. But like for me up here, you can see like I can see team stuff. And those, if you're ever on a team or create a team, you just set the settings for that. And you can say, okay, here I can allow, and I'm a team administrator, so I have the ability to see everybody on my team. My team members can only see opportunities. They can't see like details of the opportunities. But that's, again, all of it is customizable. So however you want to have it filtered to, if you start a team or join a team, would be up to you and your team at that point. Any other questions about getting to this point? And then Amanda, we're going to hop in and kind of show you where the dot loop stuff is once you're in the contact, or in the opportunity rather. So I'm going to actually hop into my TCs and hope that I don't screw too many things up here. So again, all I did was I clicked into the opportunity. So I clicked to the pipeline, found it here. I clicked on it, and I'm back looking at the behind the curtains kind of thing of the opportunity. This documents tab up here, Amanda, is where you're going to see all your dot loop stuff.
And those are placeholders until you bring them over?
Yep, bingo. And so actually, let me go look at the other, I'll show you the other one that we just created because it won't have stuff in it. So start a transaction. It can do it this way. Again, I can't sync mine because for whatever reason, my dot loop is not cooperating. But if we did 2020 buyer loop, it's going to then put all those placeholders you were just talking about in here so that you can then sync over your documents.
It will sync once so I just want to get it straight. It's like,
yep.
I keep asking the same question, I think, but once we have the dot loop opportunity open, we can sync it together. So if I get a document signed on dot loop, it will bring it over automatically?
It won't bring it over automatically. You'll just have to have about 2 clicks though. You'll be able to go in and you'll be able to sync it to that specific loop. And like, so if you get a new loop, Bob buyer, and you get the exclusive agency signed, you'll be able to go sync that transaction here with your dot loop. And then it'll say, okay, which folder do you want to bring over? Which document do you want to bring over? And you'll click exclusive agency and it'll pull it right over, rather than you having to download everything and upload.
And then I just wait till they sign it and then it pulls it over.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So let me go back.
My buyer's name is Bob. I'm not kidding.
Lucky guess. So documents here. Again, and what'll happen is you can see that they're pulling stuff over, and this is so this is what a placeholder looks like without anything in it. You see that Mo brokerage disclosure right there. Jack bought a property in Kansas, so he doesn't need to sign the Missouri brokerage because it's not pertinent to him. You cannot get that to go away. It's just not going to be filled in. You'll see it says add file. He did buy again in Kansas, so he had to sign the Kansas brokerage brochure, and that's where you see that she pulled it from my dot loop right there. So do you see how you can see the name of the file versus it says add a file? That's how you can know if something is signed and uploaded in there.
Okay.
And then you'll see that all the way down with, stuff that you need and don't need and so on and so forth.
Is there a way to archive the stuff you don't need, kind of like in dot loop?
There's not a way to archive it. You can just replace it. So like And what I mean by that is you can get, if you get a new version that you need signed, you can upload the new version over the old one, but I can't get rid of this Mo brokerage disclosure. It's just kind of got to sit there, unfortunately, with that. And then, so you'll see, just like in Dotloop, you have folders that are pre-generated for you, usually agency documents and contract documents and inspection docs. Same thing in Command, they're gonna pre-folder them for you, if you will, up here on the left where it says consultation, under contract, closed. So you see how there's different, and there's gonna be different stuff for each one.
What's the difference, I guess?
So consultation is gonna be your buyer agency agreements. So your exclusive buyer agency contract, your brokerage relationship, your contract is going to be the actual contract documents for your client. And again, remember, I told the system this is a buyer. That's why it says consultation. It says, I think it says appointment if it's a listing. So it'll know that it recognizes listings versus buyers, and the verbiage will change appropriately with whichever one you told it to be.
Okay. So I guess you could start the documents with the consultation. All that can be done ahead of time until you find a property, and then you can.
100%. Yeah, and so, I mean, think of it just like you probably normally would. Is, you know, you meet a new buyer, you probably want to get them to sign the exclusive agency, right?
Yeah.
And you would do that off the bat. You could upload those documents into this consultation folder already, and then as you get your contract, do it, so forth, so on. I am just, for me, like, I don't do the Command documents very well, so mine get uploaded all at once because I add my TC once I get under contract. I've already got them all signed in Dotloop. They just sit there until she uploads it.
Okay.
Does that make sense? But yeah, absolutely. You could go one, you know, as you get them signed, and then they could just sit there until you guys are ready for a contract, and then you move that information over as well.
And how do you submit, Ryan?
How do you what?
Submit.
I couldn't hear you. Say that again.
How submitted to MC?
Yep. So see right up here in the corner where it says submit to MC, that's what you're going to do when you're ready to submit it to, and MC stands for Market Center. So when you're ready to submit your file for compliance, just like you would in Dotloop right now, in the top right, you'd hit submit for review. In the top right here, you would hit submit to the MC. And it's not letting me right now because you can see I'm missing things, right? Like I'm in this closed folder right now. You know, you've got to have the DA and stuff for the title. Like that stuff needs to be put in there before it can get through compliance. That's why it's not letting me submit. But I could submit these folders. Did you guys notice that? See how when I hop to consultation versus closed, this becomes available to click? It's because I've got stuff in there to submit. Like we haven't gotten to the commission check hasn't been created yet. The DA hasn't been created yet. So I literally don't have anything to submit in this folder yet because I haven't added anything to it. But as soon as just like this, that I've added stuff, I could submit that.
Would you just wait? I mean, I guess, is that preference? Does Nick have a preference?
I don't think he would. I know that MCAs I've talked to in the past prefer you to submit as little amount of times as possible, meaning they prefer not to review your exclusive agency and every single document along the way. So get it as far as you can. Now they're not asking for you to necessarily be perfect, but you know, if you think you've got all your agency and you think you've got all your contract stuff, go ahead and submit it, and they'll tell you then what you were missing, and then you can obviously resubmit as needed. But I always try to just get it as close to as done as I can so that I can do it all at once.
Ryan?
Yeah.
So, I didn't understand about consultation.
Consultation. Yep. So remember, we said this was a buyer, right? We were in the buyer pipeline. So buyer consultation is typically how those clients start. I mean, you meet with your buyer to consult with them about purchasing a property. That's all that is for. If it was a listing, it would look different. I think the word is appointment or listing something up here. It's just, it says consultation because that's typically how you start the buyer process, is you can have a consultation with them about you being their agent, what you're looking for and stuff like that. And those are the agency documents. Just like in Dotloop, you know, Majid, when you see buyer agency documents, that first folder, it's the same thing. They're just using a different word. You'll notice all the documents are the same.
Thank you.
Yep. What other questions about an opportunity or stuff in here?
Are you going to show
Whether-
us how to do the commission part?
So I can try. Again, being on a team makes mine kind of funky. And I'm not super, I gotta find one. So the thing with the commissions is, actually I can go back in here. You'll notice that it's grayed out. You have to input the offer information before you can move to that tab. And I don't know that she has done that yet. Come on, computer.
You mean like all the closed folder?
No, so actually when I click into this, you'll see how this is grayed out right now.
Mm-hmm.
You see this tab here where it says offers.
Yeah.
You actually have to input the information of the contract to get, so that the commissions tab can pull information from. And I can walk you through this real quick. And we can just input this one.
Are you
This is
wondering
also
why you're paying somebody to do
What's
all
that?
this? Because I'm making you do all of it now.
No, it's making sure that I still know how to do it when my TC calls and says that she can't work my command. This folder also is, while we're on the offers, is super valuable if you're a listing agent and you have a property that gets multiple, because you can input each offer and it will actually generate you a spreadsheet that says all the information from each offers to give to your seller. You know, so if you've got a listing in, you know, a Prairie Village or something under 300, good chance you're going to get, you know, 3, 4, 5, however many, rather than you having to pull up each PDF, look at it, type it out, so on. You can just input the data field here and it'll spit out a PDF. You can email to your client and say, here's our net offer sheet, and it'll take into account what their net profit from each one is. And it'll give you an opportunity to write pros and cons about each offer. So
Okay.
it'll allow you to talk to it, which is really, really nice. And I have actually used that before when I had one that got 4 or 5 about at the end of last year, and it saved me a ton of time, and it was really convenient for my seller. So I'm just going to put Jack offer. And so again, this is where you're telling it the contents of the contract and what information they're going to need. You can actually select the property from KWLS. I'm not going to do that only because we don't need to go that in depth with it, but you can just, oops, there we go. Cherokee Drive. What else is down here? Closing date, so offer date, let's say the offer was today, and we're going to close, let's say, in the end of May. Do you need this? Yeah, all right. On the move again, stay with me here. We only got one office in our house, so we trade off. No, you're good, thank you. All right, so hit parties, and this is where you're going to put, obviously, you know your party's information, right? Like I know my buyer is Jack Ruskus. I know the seller's name because I can look at the seller's disclosure and find that information. I don't ever go any farther than this right here. It's your personal preference is what I will say. For me, the reason I don't is because if there's another agent involved, to me, I think it's crossing a bit of a line if I'm compelling information from someone that's not my client, because ultimately it's going to go into my database. Now, if, like I was saying, that unrepresented buyer buys my listing, you bet I want to grab all that information to market to them in the future because they're not represented. But if I'm running command like it should be, I've got monthly stuff going out. I don't want to buy another agent's client's property and then a month later send them marketing information. Like that to me seems a little, in my opinion, unethical, and I just don't personally want to do that unless they reach out to me and want to be in there. So it will require you to put the seller's name, because on all DAs you'll notice that there's the clients and parties names. So you can grab that, but I don't go any farther than that. Obviously my client's named, whether they're pre-approved or pre-qualified here. Jack was pre-approved. Associate's name. This is the co-op agent, if there is one. So for this one, it was Chad Taylor. If there's not one, if you're doing that unrepresented thing, you can put NA, or you could just put yourself again, as you would be acting as an agent for both. Let me move this. I gotta move this screen so I can see. There we go. Terms here. So this is where we're going to start inputting the fun stuff, what's going on with it. So purchase price, this is all going to auto populate. So let's say the sale price was 300,000. Oh, well, let me do that. Let's say he's putting down 15,000 on a $300,000. So that means 285. For earnest money, you can either input a flat amount, which I think for this one would have been 3,000. And you'll notice it'll populate percentage. So a lot of times you see minimum 1%, stuff like that. And remember, as listing agents, earnest money can be a negotiable term, and it can also go to show how strong of an offer is. If someone's willing to put more money in the game, probably more serious, or one could deem that. So this will tell you, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, buyer one's putting down 1%, buyer two's putting down 15%, or so on and so forth, rather than just dealing with numbers. Option fee does not pertain to our MLS. Reminder that KW command has to be nationwide. Different MLSs have different contracts. So we don't have an option fee on our contract, so you should never need to use this. Termination option, I think of this as inspections, which is usually the first time that anybody could terminate a contract other than the earnest money. So I would put 10 here, or whatever the contract said, but the stock would be 10. And then if they're gonna contribute any closing costs or anything else like that. With me so far? Cool. This is, remember how I was saying you have the opportunity to
Ryan,
add, yeah, buddy.
the option fee, and be flat fee.
So a flat fee, you're going to add on the commissions tab on the green sheet. That option fee is sometimes in certain contracts, additional earnest money gets kicked in. And so if you had a contract where after 20 days, additional earnest money was being put down, that may be something where you could put it under the option fee. But our contract doesn't have what's called an option fee in the base version of it, unless it was pre-negotiated by the parties.
Thank you.
So this is where you get the opportunity to say, okay, what is your analysis of this offer? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? You can put anything and everything, whether it's, you like the agent, the agent, the loan to value, the type of loan, so on and so forth. And this will take all that and compel it into a spreadsheet if you have multiple, so that the seller could look at that and say, okay, this is what Amanda said she liked, what she didn't like about this one. And obviously you're going to likely repeat yourself when you have that conversation, but it's getting it in front of them quicker rather than them just sitting there being overwhelmed with you spewing numbers and terms of 6 different contracts. And then so you'll notice it gives you the option here to accept or reject. We already know this contract was accepted because it's currently under contract. And so you would just hit. And you see up here how that little wheel is turning now. And now my commissions tab's available, because now you've told the system, okay, I'm actually under contract and here are the terms. Here's the information you're going to need to make your green sheet. Does that make sense?
I might have missed it. For your, if you had multiple offers, the analysis, how do you print? Where do you go to print all those notes?
So let me do this real quick and I can show you. I'm gonna fly through this real quick because you actually need 2 offers for it to come in.
Okay.
But let's just say 7. But it'll give you an option to generate a net sheet. And then it'll basically
for compliance, for the purpose of showing them, or no? Is it
for like estimated proceeds? It's not that detailed, so it's really going to show you like who's the buyer, what type of loan, how much. Basically, the fields we're walking through right now, it's going to put onto an Excel spreadsheet. So you'd have to ask Randy. I would doubt that it's going to be, because it's not going to take into account anything other than closing costs.
Oh, okay.
So it's not going to have your loan origination or anything like that.
Okay.
Let's say this one was 275, but all cash. So no financed amount. They were putting, let's say they were putting 5% down. No, let's say there was none of that. This is again where you'd go in and type. So on that one, I'm going to say as is, no inspections, because I left that blank. So maybe this offer is saying we're cash, we're lower, but we're no inspections, so on and so forth. Let me change the response to this one. Yes. And so once you go down to here, oh, dang it. Hold on a second. You gotta have, finance. Where did you go? There's a setting. Well, now I'm not gonna be able to find it. Where are you? Add listing to enable offer URL. I don't know what that is. Interesting. This is the other thing about this is they move these things every once in a while. And it used to be. Let me see if it's not in there. Okay, that takes me there. Well, I might not have a good answer for you now, but let me, after we hop off this, look and I can send you where it'll go, if that works.
Okay.
Essentially, it's literally, it looks like an Excel sheet. So it's just going to say at the very bottom, it's going to say pros, cons, and whatever you typed into that analysis section is going to say it to that. And you'll get to look at it before you send it to them. It won't automatically send to your clients.
Okay.
But let's go back and accept this one so that we can go look at commissions tab. Okay, so this is just saying I didn't put the contract date in the right here. So you'll notice it won't let you submit it, just like compliance. So let's say contract date's today. So today, even that's tomorrow. Let's say it's tomorrow. So this is where you begin to start to get kind of funky. And we're going to have a lot more in-depth trainings with this stuff, especially if you're involved with teams and things. But it's going to take your sales price, your commission, and get your gross, just like you would now on a green sheet. And over here, you're going to see it's going to kind of have your CNN version, I'll call it, of your running stuff, your contract date, when it's supposed to close, who the agent is, how it breaks down with your royalty and your company dollar. And you'll notice, so like for me, for example, I'm capped. So you'll notice my split is 100. It automatically will pull that information for you. But I still pay royalty at 6%. So it's factoring in the 540 because that's 6% of $9,000. Again, I'm capped on royalty or company dollar. So you can see that. If you had additional deductions, again, like now you have the option to put in KW Cares, whatever the other one is, KW Kids, I believe. Yeah. If you want to give money to that, so on and so forth, it gives you your net item or your net check amount right there. And then you would hit submit and it would go.
This does not replace the green sheet.
It will eventually. Yeah. Sooner than later. So eventually what you'll be able to do is you'll get all your documents in there like we did it with Dotloop, and you'll be ready to go. You'll submit, and then you'll come over to this commissions tab and you'll make a green sheet all in one place without having to. And it is a lot easier than a green sheet. I'm sure you created a green sheet. They're kind of confusing. The really, really nice part is, in my opinion, is this part right here, that it does the math for you, especially as someone, teams are great. They do complicate things sometimes in terms of math. And if you're splitting with people or paying different things, and you have to do all that manually right now in green sheets, but it would allow you to do that by the computer in here.
So we're doing both for now?
No, stick to green sheets for right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. They're I would suspect in the next probably 2 to 4 weeks. So they're going to say, hey, we're going to move to commissions in Command, and we'll have a ton of training on it. Kyle Neiman will get on here and he'll do it in full detail like that. But as of right now, we're still using green sheets.
And we just upload the green sheet to the contract portion of the opportunity in Command,
Yep.
submit for compliance,
Exactly.
we're done, but
Yep.
eventually this is how we're doing it.
Exactly. So for right now, let me go back to the one that has the placeholder set. You would just create it like you normally would in green sheets and get that printable PDF version right and put it in the loop. And then you just would upload to wherever it is. Copy the green sheet. It's somewhere in here. But yeah, you would just pull it right into there like you would now. And so on and so forth. So it's going to be really, really nice. It is going to be a little, bumpy as you transition over just because it's new, but it's going to be great to have it just in one spot. And again, you've already inputted a lot of the information, so it should be pretty seamless, give or take what you need to add if you're paying, a referral, or if you're on a team or anything like that, or if you have flat fees that you charge and so on and so forth. You can add those items down here with different types of things.
Awesome.
What other questions about Command can I answer today?
So it's 1:54. So I this is a rabbit hole question. So I don't expect you to touch on it today. And it's completely unrelated because I think that there's a few parts of Command. Obviously, this compliance and commissions part is extremely important.
Sure.
So thank you for going over that. But the ability to use email campaigns, is that something that we could do eventually on a training or something?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can kind of give you a brief 2-minute kind of how that'll work. Those are set up now, and I've been playing with them a lot. I don't currently use them still. We actually use Buffini and that CRM to mail out right now, just because Command only within the last couple of months has allowed emails. And that was my biggest thing with why we didn't use Command fully, is because I couldn't communicate to my entire database quickly and effectively.
Is there anything else that Referral Maker or Buffini or whatever it is providing you above and beyond what you think Command is going to be able to do?
Nope. I would say Command has every function that Referral Maker or any other CRM does. It's just when it was rolled out. When we moved to Command right away for our team, it was like right when Command announced, because we were excited. And then not having email for us was big, because we do email things on a monthly basis to our clients and to our prospective people, where it's part of our lead generation process. So the ability to not do that really did hinder us, which is why we carried another one and are on a different plan. But in terms of functionality and ability, Command will have every functionality you can ever imagine.
Okay.
Whoops.
What else should we be asking you, I guess, about Command? What else should we go in and play around with after this call's over?
Yeah, so the other thing that I really, really like about Command, that I would say I like a lot more than others, is the ability to edit and market it in templates and stuff. So me personally, I'm not super creative. And so when I've got a new listing, I hate taking time coming up with a flyer and things like that to make it look nice, but also, be time effective and not spend my time, doing all that stuff. So under this designs tab over here, you can see that I've created a couple. You can actually search through thousands and hundreds of different templates and plug and play your information. And that was always the biggest headache for me, was, well, what do I want the flyer to look like before I could, I know the information I need to get on there, but I can't figure out what to do. And you'll notice up here, you can do it for email campaigns, landing pages is a websites you can create, social media posts, so Facebook, Instagram stories, if you want templates for that, or print flyers. And you can create, and I'll go do one right now and show you kind of just briefly what it looks like. But it allowed me just to plug in information into already clean, professional looking templates and saved so much time for me. And you'll see, oops, all I did was click on print. So like a flyer, if I wanted to create a flyer, there's listings flyers for different types of things. There's buyers. You'll notice if I do a listing for sale, they have door hangers. There's flyers, which would be 8.5 by 11, trifolds, blown brochures, and all that kind of stuff. Now you can create your own completely from scratch in here as well. But like I was saying, that was always a big challenge for me, because I'm not artistically talented like that. And I just want information to look professional, look clean, but convey what I want to convey versus creating the greatest brochure real estate has ever seen. And so it's really nice for me because when I get it for sale, I kind of come through here, look and say, okay, which design do I like? Which layout do I like? And you click on one and you hit use. And then I can just go in here and the template will pop up and I can change the verbiage and add my pictures and my logos and things like that. But the template stays the same.
Nice. Okay.
Which is really nice. And you can also pull from KWLS. So like rather than having to go open up your own, if you've got a listing, it should be an MLS, which is probably then KWLS. It should be able to just pull let's see if I can find one right now that I've got. I don't know. This is good. Here we go. It's this one. Oh, this is the old one. It's under contract. Let me do. So like, this is a listing that we've got on our team. All I have to do is go search in KWLS and I have access to all the photos. So if I want to just swap out a photo, it's that simple. And I can create a flyer now in 10 minutes, create a PDF, and boom, I'm ready to rock. Same thing with, Facebook and Instagram stories and all that kind of stuff. If you were to go into, let's see here, because we did the print for, let's go back one more. If you were to go to social and you were to create a social one, you'll see that there are different layouts and it's all designed and made to optimize whatever space you're going to be given. So on Instagram, you've got X number of size picture you can have. On listings, you can do for sale, you can do Instagram stories, things like that. And they're designed to the height and the width and the dimensions of Facebook, Instagram stories, stuff like that. And then all you would do is just download it, save it, send it to your phone or whatnot, and you're ready to upload. So that for me we use that for all of our stuff now. And I can create, instead of taking a day to create one properties flyer, I can create 10 by just plugging and going and things like that. And I think they look nice and they're branded, so you don't have to worry about doing all that stuff either. It just is ready to plug and play. So that's a really cool thing that I would say go play around in some of that.
Okay.
You can do email campaigns as well. So you can do all that good stuff.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anything else? Yeah, anything else anybody else wants me to cover?
Yeah, I just got that. Your very first step to get to the template bank.
Yep.
So you click designs first, right?
Yep. And then you're going to, up here, you're going to tell it what type of template you're trying to create. And so whether it's an email, a landing page, which is a website, social media, print, if you're trying to create like a flyer, which is probably the most common one. Okay. And then down here in the right, you'll see this big plus. Click that and it's going to ask you again, okay, which one are you wanting to work? And you'll hit next and it'll redirect you to a page like this. And it will show you the different types that it has.
Oh, okay. I'm probably having a Safari issue because my page is blank after that. So
it could be.
I'll get in.
Yeah, and that's not to use your failure as an example, but that's a great point. Like Safari works and you've been using it totally fine this entire time. And then we want to try and do one thing. It just is a little slower. It just isn't compatible as much like Androids and Macs, same idea there. Yeah. But then you can save them and you can name them different things. You can always go back in and click and do things like that to edit them and stuff like that.
Perfect. Thanks a million.
Yep, no problem, guys. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, just let us know and we'll work on keeping these coming so we can hop on here and doing it all.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you, Ryan.